Hey guys, it's Lynn here, back again to do another video today. As you may notice, I am wearing a turtleneck sweater that's nice and cozy and oversized because it is currently 31 degrees out here in beautiful sunny Seattle. We got a snow day over the weekend and got way more snow than expected, and currently it's freezing cold out. When I walked to work this morning, it was 27 degrees, and currently it's 31 degrees, and the snow is still covering the ground and very slowly melting. Anyways, I thought it was kind of ironic too, because this morning I was purchasing my second cosplay costume for upcoming 2019 SoccerCon, which is in like 2 months. And as I'm buying this strapless mini dress online, I'm looking outside at the snow thinking, this is really weird, and I really hope I'm not making this giant mistake. For any of you guys who are not from Pacific Northwest or Seattle, fortunately Seattle gets very weird springs where we either get these really freezing cold, like rainy days where it'll be like 40 something degrees, or we'll get like random really hot days where it's almost 80 degrees and like perfectly sunny. Unfortunately, because SoccerCon is at the end of April, this is kind of like the time of year when you have absolutely no clue what kind of weather we're gonna get. So whatever cosplay costume you end up wearing, you just don't know if you're gonna be too hot or too cold or both or whatever. So anyways, today is actually going to be a fun story time from back in SoccerCon 2019 when I was 17 years old. And this story time actually, it just kind of came into my head randomly. I was thinking about what I wanted to do my next video about, and I was like, what are some funny stories that I have? I have quite a few wild stories from when I would go to conventions as a teenager, and this is actually one of my very favorite ones. So back when I was 17, going to SoccerCon was really special. Me and my best friends would always go and dress up, and we'd like make our own costumes, and it was this whole fun weekend affair, and we'd go meet up with friends there, and it was just kind of like wild fun time, when you're still underage, but it's like a weekend that you get on your own. It's kind of like more adventurous. So anyways, during this specific story, when I'm 17, we're staying at the Sheraton in downtown Seattle. And this hotel is pretty expensive, very nice, and very large. It's one of the largest hotels down there. So on both con nights, on Friday and Saturdays, we would always go to the raves, but being underage, they kick you out at like 11 or midnight, sometime around then. And they actually announce like over the speakers, like, oh, people who are underage, under 18, you have to leave the raves or the convention at this specific time. So around 11 or 12, we would get kicked out. We go back to our hotel. We'd be, all hopped up on like energy drinks and sugar and crazy teenage energy that we have. And so we would put our pajamas on, and we would actually go down to the lobby of the Sheraton. So for all you guys who haven't been to the Sheraton lobbies, back in the late 2000s or 2009, around that time, they used to have part of the lobby was really cool because they had a bunch of couches, chairs, like tons and tons of seating, but the tables were like these interactive game tables. So they were like touch screen tables that were really big, and you could actually sit there and play games on them. So you could use like the touch screen, and you could play just random little games against like one player versus one player sort of thing. And so we used to actually hang out in the lobbies in the evenings, and we'd sit down there with like our friends, and we'd like play on these tables, and we'd be in our pajamas or whatever. So on this particular night, I believe it was Saturday night, and we'd been kicked out of the rave at like midnight or 11, went back to the hotel, got changed in our pajamas, and then went down to the lobby to like hang out with our friends and play on these little table things. The nice thing about the Sheraton lobbies was also because there's a lot of cosplayers going to the convention, and the Sheraton staff has always been super awesome. They're like understanding, they're really kind, they're very polite. Like, even though I know a lot of them don't really understand like what a cosplay convention is or like what's going on, they're always really polite to all the con-goers, and I totally appreciate that. The other thing is they understand that a lot of these people are like up all night until like 3 a.m, and they would also let us kind of go in and out of the lobby and like wouldn't get upset with you for being up at 2 a.m. in the lobby playing with your friends. So we are down there in our pajamas, we're playing on these tables with our friends, and we actually have these 2 random guys that like walk up to our friend group and start talking to us. And what I notice right away is that they're definitely drunk, and they're like coming back from what I'm assuming was like a nightclub or something they had gone out to, maybe just a really late night bar, because they're kind of like disheveled, but they're dressed really nice. When we would always stay at the Sheraton, there's always a lot of other people staying there that aren't there for necessarily the convention. They're just there because they're at like a work event, or they're staying in Seattle for other reasons. And so a lot of those people would go out and do things at night and then come back, and they would be coming back into the hotel around the same time a lot of cosplayers would be coming back from like the late night events. So like every once in a while you'd run into like drunk people coming back from nightclubs, or you'd run into people that had been like in the hotel bar and stuff. So it was pretty normal. So anyways, these 2 guys come up and they start talking to me and my friends. And again, we're about 17, we're fairly young, and we're in our pajamas, and they start talking to us about like, oh, are you guys here for the convention? And we're like, yeah, we are. And we thought it was kind of weird. We must have been very noisy or something, because I don't know how they knew we were there for the convention, because we were like in our pajamas. And then they start talking to us and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And they're like really drunk, so they're kind of like slurring their words. And then they start going, what are you guys dressed up as? And we're like, we're in our pajamas. We're not dressed up as anything. We're just in like pajama pants and like sweatshirts. And they're like, oh, we thought you guys were like dressed up as characters right now. And we're like, no, we're just in our pajamas. We're down here playing with friends. So anyways, the guys start talking to us more, and we're just kind of like, should we leave? Should we keep talking to them? But we didn't want to like leave and go back to our room. So we thought, eventually they'll get bored and walk away. So they start talking to us more, and then they're like, well, can we take a picture with you since you guys are here for the convention? And we're like, okay, because we're thinking if we say yes, then it'll make them, I don't know, like go away. So we take a picture with them. So it's just literally a group of us in our pajamas taking picture with these 2 drunk guys. And then they go and they're like, oh, we're going to post this on Facebook. We're going to say like, yeah, we ran into like these convention people, and they're like going to a cosplay convention. And I'm thinking, they understand that we're not in costume right now, right? Like we're just in our pajamas. So I don't know. It was a really, really weird interaction. And it was funny too, because I think they got lost on their way back up to their room too. So downtown Sheraton, the other thing you guys have to know about it is that there's actually 2 different elevator areas, because there's 2 different towers to the hotel. So you're either in like Tower A or you're in like Tower B. And when you go to take the elevators up, there's signs up that say like this goes to this tower and these floors, and this goes to this tower and these floors. So you just have to know what floor you're on and like your room number. And I think these guys were so drunk that they the only thing I can think is either one, they got lost on their way back to their room and they actually couldn't remember like what room number they were in or what tower they were in, so they kept going up to the wrong one. Or the other option is that they weren't even staying at Sheraton and they just got lost on their way back, and for some reason thought they were staying at the Sheraton and like went to the wrong hotel, which I really doubt it. However, these guys were very, very drunk, so it's all up in the air. Who knows? So after these guys left and they went to wander to their room, maybe like half an hour later, we actually saw them wander back through the lobby, and we were like, well, that was weird, but they didn't say anything to us. And then maybe an hour after that, we saw them wander back again. So we don't really know what was going on. Luckily, they didn't come back up to us and like talk to us, because I don't think we would have known how to handle it. So that brings me to the second part of my story, which is I kind of have to give you guys like a quick back detail, which is, I don't think people still do this, but when I was a teenager, a lot of people that went to conventions were completely broke. So they were like teenagers that, maybe had a part-time retail job or maybe didn't work at all. And just getting to the convention, buying their badge and buying their costumes was like all they can afford. And I'm not going to lie, I remember being a broke teenager. And I remember, saving up all year just for this like 1 weekend event, because it can be pretty expensive, especially if you're on your own for the whole weekend. So what a lot of people would do, and I am going to say they for 100% do not let people do this, and they know that people will try. But because the convention was open, the convention hall itself was pretty much open all night. Like they would only have panels till a certain time at night, like maybe 3 in the morning or something. But the actual convention hall would be open all night, so you could walk through it and back and forth and in and out. So what people would do who are really broke is that they would bring like a bag or a purse with them with like a change of clothes, and they would literally go to a corner in the convention center somewhere and just try to sleep during the night and then wake up in the morning and go to the next convention day. And they would do this so they didn't have to buy a hotel room for the weekend. And it sounds so ridiculous saying it now, but I remember seeing people. You would see literally little groups of people like huddled together, like sleeping in the middle of the night, and then in the morning they would be gone. And so the other thing is that if you had friends staying at a hotel and you didn't have a hotel room, some people would also just hang out in the lobbies of these hotels, and they would like take naps, or they would lay down and like rest, but really they were actually like sleeping, and they would try not to get caught. So the first few times I saw this, I was really confused, because I was like, are these people that like don't want to go up to the room for some reason? Like maybe their roommates are up there and they're not getting along, or are these like friends of friends, like they're not staying at this hotel but they're like waiting for their friends that are, or something. It was really weird. And then finally I put together 2 and 2, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. They don't have money to stay in a hotel room, so they're pretending they're staying at the Sheraton, and really they're trying to sleep on the couches. So one of the funniest things about this year, 2009 SoccerCon, is that there were probably multiple groups I saw that were actually on the couches downstairs that were just passed out. So you'd be down there 1 and 2 in the morning, and you just see a group of like 7 people all huddled together, like lying down, sleeping. But they had to be kind of inconspicuous about it. They couldn't be like down there in their pajamas with like blankets, like sleeping on the couch, because obviously the staff would be like, come on people, you're not really staying here, are you? Can't do that. So they would be down there like in their costumes. They would like interact with other people, and then like kind of slowly they would just like pass out together. So during this part of my story, the drunk guys have already wandered away. It's just me and my friends in our pajamas downstairs playing on the tables, being loud and rowdy, whatever. The lobby is so huge. So you can be in like one side of the lobby and not even see the other side. And it's kind of in this big L shape. So we are down there and we're playing on these tables, and my friends are on like one couch. So we're all next to each other. I think there's 3 or 4 of us. And then the other couch across from us, all of a sudden, this group like came back from the convention and like sat down, and they were like talking, and we could tell they were really tired. They weren't even really interacting with us. They were doing their own thing. And then slowly I noticed like one person fell asleep, and then another person fell asleep, and then like another person, and then finally like their entire group had just fallen asleep like this, like upright with their heads like all leaning against each other. And they stayed like that for over an hour, so it was really late at this time. I think it must have been like 2:30 or 3 in the morning. And me and my friend were like looking at each other like, are these people sleeping down here? And then we thought it was kind of weird because we had been there all weekend, and this is Saturday night, and we hadn't seen these people before, so we're thinking like, they're not staying in this hotel, are they? They're just wandered in, and now they're sleeping on this couch. And it was kind of funny because we were like cracking up across from them. And of course we were being like loud and stuff. We were trying to like keep it down. But this entire group of like 7 people is all laying in this big like sleeping pile. I don't even know how to describe it. And like one of them's like snoring. And then my group's across from them like trying so hard not to crack up. We're just like, this is so weird. And then it was odd because kind of later in the night, the hotel staff, like the front desk staff, gets very, very, very small. So there's maybe like 1 or 2 people working like the overnight shift there. So they don't come over and say anything. They don't care. They're just there to like, I guess, help people that are already sleeping upstairs if they call down from their room or whatever. So my best friend is ultra hyper, and she's all like, hey, maybe I should go over there and try to wake them up. And I'm like, no, don't do that. That's mean. Like, they're just trying to sleep. And then she ends up going over and actually jumping on top of them. And I'm like, and our other friends are like, and these people are literally still asleep. They don't even wake up. So she has jumped on top of a random group of people and they are still passed out. And so she's weirded out. So she gets up and then she's like, maybe we should go. So I actually don't know. I think they ended up waking up and we like said hi to them and we're like, oh, are you guys staying here? And they're like, no, we aren't staying here. And we're like, oh, are you waiting for your friends here? And they're like, yeah, our friends are staying here. Yep, that's why we're here. And so eventually we ended up going back up to our rooms and like going to bed eventually. But when we woke up in the morning and went back down, the people were gone. So I'm assuming they were smart enough to like leave before the morning shift hotel staff came in to like be like, why are you guys sleeping down here? But yeah, it was kind of just an interesting story that happened. And the thing I love most about cosplay conventions is that you just have such weird stories at the end of each year. And I don't know, it's just like these interesting interactions. I still think about those drunk guys that like asked us for pictures in our pajamas, and I was like just wondering like if they sobered up the next day and found these pictures they had posted on Facebook and been like, what were we doing last night? Like what was going on? And I just think it's hilarious. So anyways, thanks everyone for listening to me ramble on and tell you my story today, and I'll be back again with more fun videos and more story times, and hopefully it won't be freezing cold next time. So anyways, I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good day and stay warm out there.